Nadia Nayak, thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Welcome. It's great to have you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Well, maybe the best place to begin is a little bit with your show, Project Kali, and your journey into the show. How did this all begin?
So this began in 2023, January 2023, when I first landed to US. That is when I was in India. I used to believe in deities, but not that much. That is, I was just a normal follower of deities because our parents, like how in US, parents force us to go to church. Same way here in India, parents force us to go to temple. And so I was just a normal kid going to temple and just praying to the deities and coming out of the temple, just a normal day. But after I landed to US, I felt that lack of love, that is lack of friends, lack of like social connection, because I was not very good in making friends. So basically, I didn't know how to connect with humans, and that's why I started connecting with these so-called deities. I didn't know who they are. I didn't know what they are. I just wanted to feel some love. So to feel that love, I started chanting their names. So Kali has a mantra called Om Krim Mahakalikaya Nama. So there is a mantra for Kali. There is a mantra for Krishna, Om Klim Krishnaya Namaha. And there is a mantra for Shiva, that is Om Namah Shivaya. And so on. That is, there are multiple deities in Hinduism. For Ganapati, it is Om Gam Ganapate Nama. So for every deity, there is a way of connecting called as mantras. And that's how I started. So we have something called Japmala. This is a Rudraksh mala. So Rudraksh is a tree. So if you see this, uh, all these beads, right, are the seeds of that Rudraksh tree. So what they do is they make a hole in the seed and they make a mala out of it. So there is 108 beads in this Rudraksh mala. And they use this Rudraksh mala to meditate. So meditating on the silence is too tough a job. That is, whenever we sit for meditation, we cannot go to that silent state directly, like how Buddhist monks do. So in Hinduism, there is a set of mantras to go to that silent state. So what we call that silent state is Brahman. So the Brahman is that vibrationless state of consciousness, which is the original state where the consciousness doesn't do anything. So the consciousness is at rest in the Brahman. So from that resting state, all this world gets created. That is, whenever the mantra is chanted, like Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So all these mantras generate this universe. So whenever the consciousness starts vibrating with mantras, that time the universe gets generated. So that is what is told in Hinduism. And that is why I started doing the sadhana of all these mantras. Sadhana meaning you have to hold this japmala, like you have to hold it like this and start chanting. Let's say for Shiva, it is Om Namah Shivaya. So Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So it goes on and ends back to the same beat, that is the starting beat. So there, that 108 count is complete. So that's how I completed the sadhana. Sadhana meaning completing 108 beats of all the deities. And I started conversing with them. So basically, we consider these deities as the controllers of universe. That is, the so-called causal beings. They can create this universe just by just one thought. That is, if you store your ojas meaning it's like a kundalini energy. Whenever we eat food, that kundalini energy gets converted to sexual energy. So from there, it goes to the upper chakras. So these energy, if stored for millions of years, can create universes. That is, if this ojas, that is the potent energy created by the food, if it is stored for millions of years, it can create universes. So that is how deities are creating universes by storing their so-called ojas. This way, the deities are like more powerful than a normal human. So that is why I wanted to connect with such entities which are like way more powerful than normal humans. And that is how I learned about all this knowledge called Kundalini, Sadhana, Ojas, and all these terminologies I came to know because of these deities. That is, when they started conversing with me, I realized how the universe was created and all that stuff. So it all began from that lack of love that I felt when I reached US. Because here in India, I used to take everything for granted. That is, I used to take my parents for granted, my friends for granted, the deities, the temples, everything I took it for granted. That is, I didn't value it so much, because when you have something in surplus, we don't value it. But when that something surplus becomes zero, that time you start valuing it. So that is what happened. When I went to US, I missed the temples, I missed the festivals, I missed my own culture, and that is why I started falling in love with all these entities which I used to ignore in India. This is how my journey started, and it maximized during my Kundalini awakening. That is, if you might have heard that some people get Kundalini awakening while doing psychedelic drugs like LSD. So they feel that Kundalini awakening, that is receiving the frequencies of other realm, basically. But we can feel those frequencies of other realm even while doing sadhana. That is, when you chant all the mantras, you can feel that psychedelic effect without doing any drugs. So that is what I felt when I did sadhana, and I experienced the Kundalini awakening, and I was able to reach that silent state, which Buddhist people call as nirvana. So during that nirvana state, the whole world disappears, and that is what I was targeting. That is all my journey. I was targeting that truth where everything disappears. So we basically call this as a dream. That is whatever is going on in front of you as a dream. So when that dream disappears, you stay in the truth, called as Brahman. Brahman in Hinduism, Nirvana in Buddhism, and there are many words for that vibrationless state in different religions. So that was my goal, to promote that truth on YouTube by giving it different terminologies.
Quite the story. I'm curious about the choice of gods in Hinduism. You talked about kind of you chose Kali or whatever there. Just you started there. How does someone go about choosing the right god to like approach or get in contact with?
In Hinduism, there is a concept called Ishta Devata. So, Ishta Devata meaning favorite deity. So, it can be anything. That is, every person will have their own Ishta Devata. So, in Hinduism, there is a Jyotisha Shastra. Jyotisha means astrological charts. So, every person will have a D20 chart. So, in that D20 chart, you will get to know who is your favorite deity. It is all based on at what time you were born, at what date you were born. So date of birth, time of birth, place of birth matters. So from there, if you extrapolate, you'll get to know your D20 chart. From that D20 chart, you can get to know your Ishta Devata, meaning favorite deity. So each person will have their own favorite deity, which we will not know. That is, our Atman meaning soul, is connected to one particular deity. For example, in a Christian's life, Jesus may be the Ishta Devata, that is favorite deity. For a Muslim, that is for a Muslim, Allah may be the favorite deity. For someone born in Bengal, West Bengal, Kali might be the favorite deity. For someone born in North India, Himalayas, Shiva might be the favorite deity. For someone who was born in maybe Vrindavan, Krishna might be the favorite deity. So it all depends on where you were born, and that is how you determine who is your favorite deity. So there is no judgment here. That is because every person will have their own set of favorite deities, and no one is above or below. That is because to reach that vibrationless state, that is the truth, Brahman, where there are no dreams. To reach that vibrationless state, you can take the help of any higher beings. So there is no one like higher and lower. It's basically a love story. That is, let's say in Titanic, Jack and who was that?
Rose.
Rose. Yeah, so Jack and Rose, and Romeo and Juliet. Let's say two couples, but Romeo is not suitable for Rose. Similarly, Jack is not suitable for Juliet. So what that means is every person has to fall in love with this the deity who was meant to be in their life. They are not meant to follow some other deity, because it is deeply connected with your soul, that favorite deity, right? It is very much in love with you. For example, I will show my background. There are many deities here. So this is Krishna, and this is Ganapati. This is Subramanya, and this is Lalita Tripura Sundari. Those three deities are Lalita Tripura. And this is Narasimha here. So Narasimha. So there are various deities, and each deity will have different love story with the humans, because we consider humans as the descended self. So in the causal realm, every person is a deity. But when we descend from the causal realm to the physical realm, physical realm, which is made of the five sensory frequencies, we descend into the human form. That is, whenever we vibrate in the causal realm frequency, we go to the deity form. That is, they are our higher self. So if you wake up in the morning, that is 4 a.m., and start doing sadhana, you will vibrate at causal frequency. So when you vibrate at causal frequency, you get in touch with your causal self. So basically, every person, every soul will have three bodies. One is the causal body, then is the astral body, then is the physical body. So when you have the physical body, you're in your human form, and when you're in your astral body, you're an astral being, and when you're in a causal body, you're the deity themselves. That is the higher self, like Kali, Krishna, and all that. So if you go beyond that, if you go beyond the causal realm, you go to that vibrationless state where you are no one. That is, your mind itself extinguishes. The ego that you call as James, Justin, disappears. So everyone becomes one in the Brahman. That is the vibrationless state.
Is there a feeling there? Like, is there a reason to, like, should that be something that people are aiming to get to, or is it just a thing that you can do if you want to do it?
In that state, there is no emotions, there is no thoughts, there is no intellect, there is no universe, there's nothing. Basically, some religions are aiming after that. Like Buddhism, the whole aim of Buddhism is to reach nirvana. Nirvana meaning that state where there are no thoughts. So the reason you are there in this world is because you have thoughts. You are not able to stop the thought processes. If I tell you to close your eyes, and if I tell you stop thinking, you'll not be able to stop thinking for more than maybe 5-10 seconds. After 10 seconds, some thought will come in your mind. And that is why you exist in this world, because your consciousness is continuously generating thoughts. The moment your consciousness learns how to stay silent, the whole universe disappears.
Do you have something that you want to add? A question you want to ask here? I was I was thinking about what you said about the love story thing, and for most of my life, or for a good chunk of my life, I was a Christian, and Jesus was that deity that you're talking about. And in Christian church, you look at some of the hymns, and they read like a love story. Like it'll be like Jesus, 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 name above all names. You know what I mean? Like it's like they're like love songs to Jesus. You know what I mean? And I was thinking about how some people like what would have happened if you didn't have that love affair with those deities. You know, you like talk about something a lot of people can relate to, which is a kind of loneliness. You went to a new country and you're having trouble connecting with people. Like, did those deities that you reached out to, did they save you in that moment with things? What would have happened if you didn't turn towards those deities, and what would happen to people if they didn't have sweet Jesus to pray to, or Allah or whatever? I'm just thinking about that. You know, you asked me what I'm thinking of, and that was something that was rattling around in my head. The necessity of that, and then as you said, you go up and you can get in more and more communion with these things all the way till you are them. And then the idea of going beyond that and being that sort of silent oneness that is not comprised of thoughts. It's like a no thingness or something, and how that reflects so many religions, like even theology within certain sects of Christianity seem to get to this like unity with God thing, but it's not reflected in every presentation of religion. Like some religions are highly ritualistically based, and they you know, and there'll be repeated ritual type things to just, I don't know, they seem to me to like help you be sane in some way, or satisfy some kind of aspect of the mind. And just so many things you said were interesting, like the idea of the nature of the mind and the things that we do to deal with that, and then the ultimate potential outcomes. And you mentioned Buddhism and how they're after this state of no mind, but that's the obliteration of your perception as a reality and stuff like that. I'm literally just rambling. Did I say anything of interest in there? Can you spitball off anything I said?
Yeah, you're right. You asked about what is the significance of this love, of falling in love with such deities.
Does it have a saving nature? Does it save people from profound loneliness? Does it save people from, like, if they didn't have that, man, things could have gotten bad?
So how we can understand this concept is through the origin point. So through the origin is the thoughtless state. From that vibrationless state, let's say a thought generates. Obviously, the thought, whatever generates from the original state of your consciousness, would be love. So other than love, there would be no other thoughts. So obviously, whenever you think, the first thought that generates will be of your favorite person or favorite item or a thing. So let's say you were in that thoughtless state. Let's say you attained that thoughtless state and you are in that nirvana. But now, in that nirvana, let's say a thought generates for your consciousness. So you think about the most favorite person. Let's say it might be your own mother or own
Mm.
daughter or own brother. So whatever it may be, you're thinking about this favorite person. So that is how the universe splits. So from that desireless state, it gets splitted into love, the most favorite loved one, and you. So that is how the universe splits, and it keeps on splitting. That is, so many consciousness from the Brahman keeps on splitting into the loved one and the loving, that is the adored one and the adored one and the adoring. So it keeps on splitting, and that is how so many humans, so many astral beings, so many causal beings get formed. But if you shrink this love, that is, if you give yourself that love which you lacked, then you will go back to the source. So basically the reason why you are existing is because of some lack of love. So if you
Hmm.
satisfy that lack of love within you by showing yourself the love, or by convincing yourself that you are loved, there's no need of searching for anyone. If you tell yourself, I am loved, I love myself, the whole reality is being created because I didn't love myself back then. So if you convince yourself that, then you will go to that point of origin again, because that is what happened to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa also. So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is a saint who fell in love with Kali. So what he did was, he loved her more than himself. He was doing her sadhana. He was thinking about Kali his whole life while eating food. Before eating food, he gave the bite of the food to Kali first. Then he ate himself. So that was the amount of love he had towards Kali. Even he didn't consider his own wife as high as Kali, because he loved her so much. But one fine day, enlightened being came into Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's life, and he told that just chop her off. So whoever you're seeing in the mind, just chop her head off. So that is what Ramakrishna Paramahamsa did. So his kundalini was concentrated in the Anahata chakra, that is the chakra of love. It was so expanded, so big, his love energy, that is the ojas. Suddenly, when he killed the feminine figure in his mind, his love energy shifted to the upper chakras. So it blew like a rocket. It blew to the upper chakras, to the Sahasrara. So Sahasrara is where all the love dies. So whatever love you were lacking back here, that will get nullified, because this is the chakra of truth. So when the energy rises and goes to the chakra of truth, all thoughts, all loved ones disappear. But when it is in the below chakras, that is when it is in the Muladhara meaning the lowermost chakra. So that is the chakra which makes you crave for food, and there is Swadhisthana chakra which makes you crave for sex, and there is Manipura chakra here which makes you crave for fame, wealth, and all that. And this is the chakra, Anahata chakra is the chakra which makes you crave for love. This is the chakra which makes you crave for communication, and Agna chakra is the one which makes you crave for thinking. All your thought processes are generating because you have a desire to think. So that is why this Agna chakra is there. And finally, Sahasrara chakra is the chakra which craves for truth. So that is what happens to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Once his lack of love was satisfied by Kali, and finally, when he chopped that feminine figure off in the mind, it went to the Sahasrara chakra, and he attained Samadhi. So Samadhi is the state of your own soul where it stops dreaming. So all this Maya that is going on in front of you, it stops happening in the Samadhi state.
You talked a lot about love, and here's a basic, simple question, which is probably also at the same time super complex. But from your perspective, what is love, and what is love in Hinduism?
Love is basically doing something for others before you do it for yourself. That is, let's take the example of food. So if you love someone or something, you would feed that person or that animal before you eat. So that is how you love through the Muladhara chakra. That is by sharing food before you consume it yourself. Basically, selflessness. So the other name for love is selflessness. And let's say in the act of sex, you care about the other person's pleasure than your own pleasure. So if you are having sex for your own pleasure, then that is lust. But if you're having sex for your partner's pleasure, then that is love. And then when it comes to Manipura, when you're earning money or getting fame for providing for your family or for providing for your wife, children, parents, then you're using your Manipura chakra for love. For example, Hanuman, there is a very magical being called Hanuman in Hinduism in the Ramayana era. So that is in the Treta Yuga, the time period of Ram, that is Vishnu's avatar, Ram. So during that era, there was a lover, lover monkey called as Hanuman. So he loved Ram very much. So whatever he did, it was for Ram. So he had something called as Ashtasiddhis. Ashtasiddhis means he had superpowers like flying in the air, becoming small, becoming big, becoming invisible. There are so many magical powers called Ashtasiddhis when you activate the Manipura chakra. So this chakra of motivation has lot of superpowers. So Hanuman had activated all those superpowers. Even Ravan, that is the villain of Ramayan, the demon king, even he had Ashtasiddhis. Even his Manipura chakra was completely activated. But the only difference between Ravan and Hanuman was Ravan used those Ashtasiddhis to harm others. That is, he used it to show that he is more powerful than others. But Hanuman used the Ashtasiddhis to serve Ram, to serve his loved one. So that is the difference between Hanuman and Ravan. They both had a completely activated Manipura chakra, but one used it for proving himself that he is the greatest king of the whole world, whereas the other person used it for serving his own loved one. That is how you show love through the Manipura chakra. And Anahata chakra itself is love. So there is nothing to prove here. Anahata chakra itself is selfless. So that chakra promotes other chakras to be selfless. So if your Anahata is strong, it channelizes the Kundalini to the other chakras and makes it selfless. It doesn't let the lower chakras be selfish because the lower chakras have the tendency to be selfish. That is, if you see in cats or other animals, they don't care about their offspring. I'm not talking about all animals. There are some animals which care about their own food before serving it to their friends or family or children. They consider their own nutrition before serving it for others. But when it comes to dogs, cows, humans, they share food. They don't care about themselves, they care about others. So that is how Anahata chakra is strong in advanced beings. But when it comes to animals, their Muladhara is strong. Muladhara is the desire for food is stronger than their desire for love. So that is why they don't share food. And that is how evolution happens. That is, as the chakras, new chakras get added up in the evolution, a being, a consciousness learns how to be selfless because of the Anahata chakra development. So after Anahata chakra, this Vishuddha chakra is developed. That is the chakra of speech. So if you observe, animals cannot speak as peculiarly, as specifically like humans do. Like humans can communicate with complete details because of the developed Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, whereas animals have not that developed Vishuddha chakra. But when it comes to the astral beings, they have completely activated Agna chakra. So astral beings can communicate through telepathy. So in the astral realm, nobody talks through the Vishuddha, nobody makes sound. There are no sounds in the astral realm. They just speak through the Agna, just by thought processes. So if one astral being has to communicate with the other astral being, he just has to think that I want to do this activity with you, and the other astral being will get the message and he will reciprocate. So that is how they communicate through Agna Chakra. They consider the lower chakras as useless, like how a human considers the lower three chakras as selfish or useless. Same way, the astral beings consider the Vishuddha chakra and all the lower chakras as useless. But when it comes to the causal beings, they even consider the Agna chakra as useless because they don't think, because they are always in search of truth. They are always thinking how to relieve karma, how to stop thinking. So that is what a causal being goal is, to stop the thought processes. So that is how the evolution happens from Muladhara chakra, that is of animalistic tendencies, to the Sahasrara chakra, that is of a causal being's tendency.
I really appreciate the thorough answers that you're providing here. We've done like a lot of reactions on Hindu gods like that, and it seems to be up in the air sometimes with the comments that we get of how many actual gods are there. From your understanding, how many gods are there?